ਗੁਰੂ ਰੂਪ ਗੁਰੂ ਪਿਆਰੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਾ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕੀਤੀ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਤਸੰਗ ਦੀ ਘੜੀ ਬਖਸ਼ੀ। Guru Sahib tells us in Gurbani that we all have one mission, and that is to meet God. And that's what our human form is for. ਜਿਨ ਮਾਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਭਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਮਨੁੱਖ ਦੇ ਹੁਰੀਆ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਮਿਲਣ ਕੀ ਇਹ ਤੇਰੀ ਬਰੀਆ। That this human form that we have, this is our opportunity to meet the divine, Waheguru, God. And in order to do that, we have to come into Sangat, congregation, and we have to be able to jap Naam and connect with Naam inside. So what we're going to discuss today is a topic in relation to what Naam is, because there's a lot of doubts people have as to what Naam actually means. And we need to be clear. When I used to do Sangat, the first time I ever did Sangat in India, I listened to Katha from Pitaji. And I ended up thinking that, because it was just my first time, I ended up just thinking that Naam is maybe the way we live. And as I went through Katha over and over again, I listened, I realized that Naam is that Shabd that God speaks from their own mouth, from which this entire universe was created. So, just so that we're clear on that, what we're going to discuss today is how we're going to get to that Naam and where we get that Naam from. So when Gurbani talks about Naam Japana, that's in regards to how we chant the Guru Mantra, which is the name of the Lord in our languages. ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਮਾਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੇ ਅਸੰਖਾਂ ਨਾਮ ਆ, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ Asankh Naam, Asankh Thav, Agam, Agam, Asankh Lo, that Waheguru Ji has many different names according to where people are from, their background, and what they've been taught by different teachers. They have different names for God. Some say Allah, others say Ram, someone says Gobind, someone says Har, someone says Beetle. Those are all different names of God. In the house of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, we've been blessed with God's name as being Waheguru. And we chant that Guru Mantra so that we can eradicate the ego that is within us, so that we can become free of thoughts. Like Bhai Gurdas Ji says in their Vara, Waheguru Guru Mantra hai jap ho main khoi. That when we chant Waheguru, we start to dispel the ego that is inside of us. Our mind becomes clean. So our mind is filthy with thoughts, depression, anxiety, and with sin. Basically all the actions that we committed from birth to now and from before in our past lives, our mind has been covered with filth. And that filth we come to know of through our thoughts, as to how many thoughts we have, how still our mind is. When our mind is actually still, it's clean, it's pure. But when it's going through all these different thoughts, whether they're sattva-guna, positive thoughts, which is positive qualities are related to sattva-guna, which includes compassion, humility, humbleness, etc. And then sometimes our mind is at rajoguna. Those are goals and wants we have for our future, how to raise our families, how to provide sustenance for ourselves, how to work, how to run our businesses, padhai like school. That all comes under Rajoguna. And then there's tamogun, which is negative qualities, which consists of lust, anger, greed, worldly attachment, ego, gossip, slander, etc. So our mind is constantly within these three groups of qualities, satoguna, rajoguna, and tamoguna. And it is all actual filth in the form of thoughts that's been covering our mind. And this is through many different lifetimes that we've gathered this filth. When we do Simran, when we chant the Guru Mantra, we start to bring our mind to a point where it becomes still, thoughtless. Maharaj says that these thoughts can be stopped. Jin Maharaj kehndे vichar mare tare tare ult joon na aave. That if we make our mind still, free of thoughts, that we can cross over the Bhavsagar, the ocean of fear, and we can help others cross as well. The same Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun are what compose the ocean of fear, the Bhavsagar. Satogun is known as Sukh Sagar in Gurbani, the ocean of peace. Rajogun is known as Agan Sagar in Gurbani, which is the ocean of fire. Tamogun is known as the ocean of poison, Bik Sagar in Gurbani. These three oceans make up the vast ocean of fear, which our mind is constantly caught in, where there's lehra, tides of lust, anger, greed, worldly attachment that are actually heavy upon this mind, in which our mind can drown in. So when we're doing jap of Guru Mantra, that's called Naam Japana. And Guru Sahib says in Gurbani that those that chant the name of the Lord, they have good fortune. Jisnu Maharaj kehndे a Ram Ram bol bol khoj te vadbhagi, that those with good fortune, they chant Ram, they chant the name of the Lord, and they search within themselves. What we're searching for is that Naam that's inside. Jisnu Maharaj kehndे a Naunid Amrit Prabh ka Naam dehi mein iska bisram. That Naam is the 9 treasure blessing that's inside us, and that gift that's inside all of our bodies, and from which we get Amrit, nectar. Naunid Amrit Prabh ka Naam dehi mein iska bisram. It exists within our body. We are also searching for Vaheguru, God, from where that Naam comes from. So Maharaj tells us in Gurbani that what we see outside, jo brahmande, soi pinde, jo khojai, so pave. That whatever's in the universe is also inside our physical body. And if we search inside whatever we're looking for, we can actually find inside our body. And that is why we go to Sangat. Maharaj says, Hom mantan khoji pal palai, kyun pyara pritam mila meri mai. That I'm searching everywhere, I'm searching my mind, I'm searching my body as to how I can connect with the Lord, how I can connect with the divine. Hom mantan khoji pal palai, kyun pyara pritam mila meri mai. Mil sat sangat khoj dasai, which sangat har prabhu vasai. That if we connect with the true congregation, if we go into the true congregation, we actually find out how to meet God. Mil sat sangat khoj dasai, which sangat har prabhu vasai. And within that true congregation, God himself exists. That's why satsangat is important. That Naam is also known as God's command, which we'll talk about further today. And Maharaj says that it's described in Satsangat as well. Satsangat, which talks about Naam. Maharaj kehndे a Satsangat kaisi janiye jithe eko naam vakhaniye. एको naam hukum hai nanak satgur diya bajai jio. That Satguru tells us that that naam is the command of God, and it's a command for everyone. And we discover information about that naam when we go into satsangat. So satsangat's nishani, the symbol that we're truly sitting in satsangat, is satsangat naam is described. Naam da ped sanu milda. So when we're in this world, in this lifetime, our purpose is to connect with that naam. And we have to be sure that we understand what naam is. Maharaj tells us in Gurbani, Namo pulli je fira, fir aavon jao. That if we're separated from naam, we have to come back over and over again into this world. Namo pulli je fira, fir aavon jao. Jaye pucho pdawa, challe chakar hoye, rajan jane apna darkar thak na hoye. Then Maharaj says that we should ask the servants of God about Naam, so we can get the information about Naam and then we can connect with it. Because the servants of God, those that serve Waheguruji, they've connected with that Naam. And they don't have any restriction going into the Nij Mahal, Sache Mahal. They're able to get there. And we want to be able to do the same. So Maharaj tells us in Gurbani that this Naam is the highest of all dharmas. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji in Gurbani asks some questions. Maharaj says, Prani kaun apao kare, jate bhagt Ram ki pave, jam ko tras harai. Guru Sahib says, what actions should we take in life whereby which we achieve devotional worship of Waheguruji and we become free of the fear of the messengers of death, so we have no fear of death itself. Then they say, Kaun karm vidya koh kaisi, dharma kaun fun kari. That what action should we do in this world? What knowledge should we gain? What dharma should we practice? Now, dharma is loosely usually translated as religion, but it's much more than that. Maharaj tells us dharma is the way of life. Dharma is also sometimes in some shabds in Gurbani, it's counted as responsibilities that each person has. But Maharaj tells us, along with the description of dharma that we'll find in Gurbani, that the highest dharma out of all the dharmas that are counted in this world is the dharma of Naam. Sarbat dharma mein shreshth dharma, har ko naam jap nirmal karm. That when we chant the name of the Lord, we're actually practicing that dharma. We're trying to connect to Sach. Sach nu drid karna, Naam nu drid karna. The practice of Sach, the practice of Naam, that's the true dharma. That's the highest dharma. Here Maharaj says, Kaun karm vidya koh kaisi, dharma kaun fun kari. Kaun naam gur jaake simre, pav sagar ko tari. Which naam should I connect to through my Guru? Which simran should I do that I can cross over the ocean of fear? Kal mein ek naam kirpa nid, jahe jape gat pave. Maharaj then says that in Kaljug, in this age of darkness, that naam is the one that we are to connect with so that we can become free of the life-death cycle. Aur dharm taake sam nahan, e bid bed batave. That there is no other dharma that is equivalent to connecting with Naam. And this is told to us in the dharmic scriptures like the Vedas, which is Gyan, knowledge of Brahm from the fourth dimension. चौथा पद जिन्हों क्या है? सुख दुख रहत सदा निर्लेपी जाको कहत गुसाई. That God himself, Vaiguruji, they're free of sukh dukh. The sukh dukh means the peace and pain, or you can say pleasure and pain that's in Trigun. Sukh dukh rahat sada nirlepi. They're always above that. Sukh dukh rahat sada nirlepi jako kehat gusai. So tum hi mein basai nirantar nanak darpan nyai. That God, who is free of this worldly pleasure and pain, they exist within all of us like a soft mirror, like a clean mirror. That's who we're looking for inside. Now, most people in this world, they don't realize that their life is important and their maqsad, their goal in life is to meet God. Most people, they go about life and they've been taught that they're supposed to do good deeds, which is true. Guru Sahib tells us the same. Our spiritual masters tell us the same. But most people in the world, they don't have that knowledge that they can connect with Naam inside. Holy scriptures around the world, they all talk about the word, Shabd. And that Shabd is Naam that is mentioned. That Naam is the word by which Vaheguruji created this entire universe. But people in this world, they don't realize that they actually have to connect with that word, and that word is not in our languages. That word is a celestial word, which is universal to all living creatures. It's within all living creatures, and it's within this entire universe, everywhere we go. Jinu Mara kende jeta kita teta nao, varnaname nahi ko thao. That whatever Vaheguruji has been created through Naam, and there is no place that Naam does not exist. Sach Paramatma, Paramatma is known as truth, Sach, they exist everywhere, and so does their Naam. Most people in this world, they think that if you do good deeds, you'll just go to heaven. Or what will happen is that you will be blessed with a new form in heaven, and that's where you'll reside forever. But Maharaj tells us that even if a person wants to go to heaven, basically they still have to meditate upon the Lord. So it's important that we do Simran in life. Maharaj says, Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, Jo nij prabmo so kaha, so kaheon jag mahe. That whatever my Lord has told me, I say the same to the world. Jote prabh ko te aaye hain, ant surg ko jahe. That only those who have actually meditated on the Lord, they can go into heaven. Otherwise, even heaven, a person just by doing good deeds doesn't get there. Doing good deeds, having a clean heart, as people say, that's important, as that is our responsibility within the world. But just by doing good deeds, we can't ask for mukti or liberation in exchange, because that's what we're supposed to be doing anyways. For instance, if we look at the world, like we can give an example as, for instance, a police officer. If they do their duty, what they're supposed to do, they may not get that promotion, right? But if they go above and beyond their regular duty and they do exactly what they're supposed to do, and then they try to get to that higher state, then they get that promotion. So similarly here, Maharaj has told us if we want to get to that higher state of mind, the higher state of spirituality, not only do we have to fulfill our regular duties, which is to be satoguni, do good deeds in the world, help others, that's our responsibility, but we also have to connect with that Naam. Until we connect with Naam, we can't get to the highest state of spirituality, which is even beyond heaven. Most people in this world think that it's just about getting to heaven, but Maharaj tells us Sachkhand, Sach Jiteya, Sacha Mahal, where truth resides. God is in their prakash form, in their form of light. That's beyond heaven. Maharaj says, in Gurbani, Bhakt Kabir Ji tells us, Kavan Nark Kya Surg Bichara, Santan Do Radhe, that what is hell, what is heaven, that the saints have discarded both. Saints are free of hell because they don't actually do anything that'll lead to hell. They go upon the path of the path of love. They're Satoguni. And then they don't have any itcha for Swarg because they know that anyone that actually goes to Swarg anyways eventually has to come back. When we go free of thoughts, we enter a place called Sun. ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, meditation ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, we enter Sun, which is also known as Swarg. Maharaj says that our home starts from there, but we're supposed to reach the fourth Sun, where there's Prakash, ਚੌਥੀ Sun ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. Maharaj says, Satgur te paye vichara, sun samad sache karbara, nanak nirmal naad shabd tun sache rame naam samainda. That Sun is our real true home. When we rise above our thoughts, these tragun that we're stuck in, this ocean of fear that we are in, we enter Sun. Sun is also translated in English as the void. When our mind enters Sun, enters that void, that's where Swarga starts from, where heaven is, where our mind is free of thoughts. But if we don't traverse that Sun, if we don't travel further into Sun, all the way to the fourth Sun, then we still have to come back. Maharaj says that we won't have to come back into Ult Juniya, where most people that do Simran, even at the end, if they do Simran but they haven't connected with Naam inside, sometimes they'll go free of thoughts, they'll enter Sun, but then they have to come back again. In that situation, that person can get a human life because they've tried to do Simran, they didn't connect with Naam inside, but they went free of thoughts. They come back in human form in their next life and then continue their bhakti from there. Above Swarg, above heaven, is Devlok, where Maharaj says that Anhad Shabd are playing. That's where Devi Devte, the angelic beings, exist. Jinu Maharaj kende Dev Stane Kya Nishane Te Baje Sabd Anahad Bani. That Anahad Bani plays there. So when we're doing Simran and we connect with Anahad Bani inside, we listen to celestial music inside, we've actually reached Devlok. If a person at the end is connected with those Anahad Shabds, they don't have any thoughts that pull them towards Tragun, they can end up staying in Devlok until they have to come back as well. What we're trying to do is we're trying to reach that point where we connect with the Sejtun, the Naad, Naam inside, from Anahad Bani. Jinu Maharaj kende Anahad Bani Naad Vajaya. When we connect with that Naam inside, which is known as Sacha Shabd, that Shabd from which all the other Anahad Shabds are created, then we sama and absorb into that Naam, and we can reach that point from where that Naam comes from, and that's where the Chauthi Sun is, where there's Prakash. Here Bhakt Kabir Ji says that Sants have risen above hell, as it's obvious because they don't do any karma that will send them to hell. They go upon the path of love. And they rise even above Swarg, even higher than heaven. Kavan narka kya surga bichara santan do radhe, ham kahu ki kaan na kadte apne gur prasade. They said that I have no obligation to hell or heaven anymore because of the kirpa my guru has done upon me, because of my guru's blessing, my spiritual master's blessing. And because of that kirpa, because of that blessing, they then tell us what their avastha is, what stage they reached. Ab to jaye chade singhasan, mile hai sarang pani. They reached the highest point where they met Vaheguru Ji. Ram Kabira ek pe hain, koi na sake peshani. Bhakt Kabir Ji says, Ram and me are now one. No one can tell us apart. There's no difference between us. So that's the Naam we're trying to get to. So Guru Sahib tells us that ਨਾਮ ਜਪਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਗੁਰਮੰਤਰ ਦਾ ਜਾਪ ਕਰਨਾ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਸਗਰਾ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਸ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਰੋਮ ਰੋਮ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹ ਗੁਰਮੰਤਰ ਦਾ ਇਸਤੇਮਾਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. ਸੋ ਵੀ ਯੂਜ਼ ਦ ਗੁਰਮੰਤਰ in Saskara Simran, Sa Simran, Rom Rom Simran. Those are different techniques that are taught to us through Gurbani. Naam itself, the one that's inside our body that we're trying to reach, is above air, water and fire. ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਪਵਨ ਪਾਣੀ ਅਗਨੀ ਬਿਸਰਾਓ ਤਹੀ ਨਿਰੰਜਨ ਸਾਚੋ ਨਾਉ. That if we rise above air, water and fire, we reach that sacha, that true Naam inside. Air, water and fire are the elements by which our speech is created, by how we talk. Jisnu Maharaj kehinde hai agan bimb pavana ki bani teen naam ke dasa. That air, water and fire, they create our speech, how we speak, whether it's English, Gurmukhi, Punjabi, Hindi, Sanskrit, French, whatever language we speak, that's through air, water and fire. That Naam exists above air, water and fire. So when we're doing Gurmantra da Jap, eventually we rise above air, water and fire, where our speech, which is speech in our languages, that speech ends and suddenly we connect to that celestial speech that continuously runs inside, which is known as Naam. Maharaj tells us that Naam is by which everything was created. It's also known as Shabd in Gurbani. Maharaj says, Kita pasao eko kovao tiste hoy lakh dariyao. That Vaheguru Ji made this pasara, this creation, where we see hundreds and thousands of bodies of water. But they did it by speaking. That word that they spoke is Naam. That's the Shabd that we're trying to connect to. Maharaj says, Utpat parlo sabde hove, sabde hi fir upat hove. That creation and destruction happens through the Shabd. And when Vaheguru Ji recreates this creation that they have created, that we see before ourselves, this universe, they recreate it through Naam again. That Naam is known as Anhad Shabd, that is the Sacha Shabd ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸਹਿਜ ਧੁਨ, ਨਾਦ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਤੂਰ ਵੀ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਅਨਹਦ ਤੂਰ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਆ. Maharaj says this ਰੂਪ ਨਾ ਰੇਖ ਅਨਾਹਦ ਵਾਜੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨਿਰੰਜਨ ਕੀਆ. That Naam isn't in any of our written languages. It doesn't have any form or shape. It's anhad. It has no limits. It's limitless. And as Naam is anhad, so is Vaheguru Ji as well. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਰੂਪ ਰੰਗ ਰੇਖ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪਰ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਸ਼ ਰੂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਗਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ. In the form of light we can see them, but they don't have any end. They are limitless. They are also anhad. They're free of the colors that we see in this world. They're absolutely, infinitely above the Trigun, above what we see in this world, in Drishtaman. So that Naam, we can get to that Naam if we go into Guru Sahib's Sharan. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ through ਪੰਜ ਪਿਆਰੇ. And Guru Sahib has taught us that in Kaljug, that Naam will be Pargat. That hidden Naam will be achievable, will be revealed to those who go into Guru Sahib's Sharan. Gupta Naam varta vich Kaljug, kat kat har parpur rahya, Naam ratan tina hridaya pargatya jo Guru saranai bhaj paya. Whoever enters the shelter of the true Guru, they get to connect with that Naam. Now, a lot of people, they think that ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਗੁਰਮੁਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਕ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ. Some pracharaks, some kathawachaks, they keep with stubbornness in their mind, they keep leading people astray from Naam And they sometimes tell them that Naam is just good qualities, or it's just a way of leading your life, doing good work. Maharaj in Gurbani tells us that that's not the case. Having good qualities inside us is important, but connecting with Naam is rising above even any good quality. Maharaj tells us, like, if we just stay seemat to good qualities, like if we, for instance, are only up to Satagun with our mind, which is we have compassion, humility, humbleness within us, patience, commitment, contentment, we speak the truth, right? That's called being Satoguni. But if we're only up to Satoguni, we're still within the Trigun. Maharaj tells us in Gurbani कि पुन दान जप तप जेते सब ऊपर नाम हर हर रसना जो जपै तिस पूरन काम. That all the charity and daan we do, and then they're saying jap tap, that like a lot of people do chanting but they still remain in the Trigun. Guru Sahib tells us that Naam is above all that, and the person that chants Vaheguruji's name, they can connect to that Naam inside. Har har rasna jo japet tis puran kam. Their courage, their work in this world is completed. Our work in this world, our mission in this world, is to meet Vaheguruji. In Gurbani, there's many examples, like for instance, Vaheguruji is considered our husband. And our surati, our mind, is the wife of God. And Maharaj says that through an example, that one sister asks another who has connected to God as to how she actually met her Lord. Maharaj says, Jaye pucho sohagani, tusi ravya kini guni. That go ask the sohagan, the istri that's wedded and connected with her husband, that leads a perfect married life because she has connected with her Lord, Vaheguruji, God, that how did you achieve this bliss? Maharaj says that sohagan then responds, Sahaj santok sigarya mitha bolani, that I did shingar, like sohagan, a bride wears beautiful clothes, jewelry and whatnot. She said that's called shingar. And she said that I did shingar as well. But of what? Sahaj santok sigarya mitha bolani. She said that I started to remain in Sahaj, where I'm totally thoughtless, and I had contentment inside. And I spoke sweet words. Mitha bolani. That means that having those good qualities inside, that's our shingar, that's our decoration, that's our jewelry. Maharaj says, Perari salu tamile jan gur ka sabd suni. Then that sohagan says that I met my husband once I listened to the Shabd Guru inside. Naam is also known as Shabd Guru. जिस ਨੂੰ Maharaj ਨੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਕਿਹਾ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਗੁਰੂ ਸੁਰਤ ਧੁਨ ਚੇਲਾ. Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji told the Siddhs that their guru is the Shabd, which is inside. And the surati, their mind, is the student of that guru. So Maharaj then tells us that we have to have good qualities within us, but once we rise above the good qualities, that's where we're going to connect with Naam. And that's the path through Satoguna. It's called the path of love. It's known as live in Gurbani. That leads us to Naam. So you have to go through Satoguna, Arthat, which means that you have to enshrine those good qualities within yourself, but then through practice of meditation, connect with that Naam inside. And Guru Sahib totally tells us that Naam is above the Trigun, whether it's Satoguna, the good qualities, Rajoguna, which is the qualities we talked about for sustenance, Tamoguna, which is negative qualities. Naam is above that. We have to go to the fourth dimension. These three, Rajagun, Satogun, and Tamagun, are known as Tragun. It's a three-dimensional sphere of qualities that we're stuck in. And Maharaj says, Rajagun, Tamagun, Satgun kaiye e teri sab maya. That these Tragun is Maya. Chauthe pad ko jo nar chine, tinhi param pad paya. The one that enters the fourth state, the fourth stage of spirituality, which is above the Tragun. That Chautha pad is where our mind connects with God. That's why Maharaj says, Tragun mete chauthe varta eha bhagt narari. That the true form of bhakti is where we rise above the Tragun and we go into that fourth state. And then Maharaj says that this Naam, as we discussed before, it's free of Maya. This Roop na Rekh Anahad Vajay Sabd Niranjan Kiya. Niranjan means free of Anjan. Anjan is Maya. And Anjan has other meanings as well. For instance, the surma that people put in their eyes. Gyan Anjan kya hai? In Gurbani, when we read Gurbani, we discuss Gurbani. As we search through Gurbani, we find out different meanings of different words. Here Maharaj says Niranjan, that it's free of Maya. This Roop na Rekh Anahad Vajay Sabd Niranjan Kiya. Anjan means Maya here. Niranjan means free of Maya. God himself is Niranjan, and so is their Naam. So this makes it absolutely clear to us Naam is actually above these qualities that we're always stuck in with our mind. Then some people say, ਕਿ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਨਾਮ ਜੀ ਗਿਆਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ, ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈ. Some people say that Naam is just knowledge, that you should gain as much knowledge as you can, and that's called connecting with Naam. But Guru Sahib says, Jo prani govind tyavai, padya anpadya paramgat pavai. That anyone that meditates upon Vaheguru Ji, whether they're educated or not, they get paramagati, they get to meet Vaheguru Ji. So this statement that people make that Naam is just knowledge, that's actually false. Through Naam though, we do get knowledge, which is known as Brahm Gyan. There's two types of knowledge. One is worldly knowledge, and one is the knowledge of the divine. Worldly knowledge includes science, knowledge of this world. Divine knowledge is known as Brahm Gyan. Maharaj tells us that Nijpad upar lago dhyan, Raja Ram Naam Mora Brahm Gyan. That when we connect with Naam, which is at the Nijpad, in our Nij Mahal, ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਨਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਦਾ ਹੈ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਦਾ ਗਿਆਨ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. When we connect with Naam, we get divine knowledge, which is known as Brahm Gyan. And that Brahm Gyan, divine knowledge, is above worldly knowledge. Worldly knowledge, such as science, doesn't give us peace of mind. Brahm Gyan, knowledge of the divine, does. That's why Maharaj says in Gurbani, क्या पढ़िए क्या गुनिए क्या वेद पुराना सुनिए पढ़े सुने क्या होई जो सहज ना मिले सोई. That what should we read? What should we study? And even if we listen to the Vedas and the Purans, where Brahma Gyan is given, but if we don't practice what's written there and we don't meditate, what is the use of reading and listening if we can't achieve sahaj, if we don't get peace of mind? Har ka naam na japas gawara kya soche barang bara. If we don't chant the name of the Lord, what are we thinking over and over again? All these thoughts that we're having here in Tragun, we're wasting our swas, because every thought we have, the commodity that's been given to the mind is our swas. We actually waste that swas on different shops inside. And those Rajogun, Tamogun, Satogun, they're known as shops, hut in Gurbani. And we're wasting the swas there. And then our judgment, if we don't connect with Naam, at the end is going to be based upon where we spent all our swas. Maharaj tells us that this Naam is above worldly knowledge. Maharaj says that Naam and Home, ego, they cannot exist in one spot. If there's ego, Naam won't be there. If there is Naam installed within the mind, then ego is not going to stay there. Maharaj says they're totally opposite to each other. Home naam hai, naal virodh hai, doye na vase ek thai. That they don't exist in the same spot. If knowledge, worldly knowledge, was Naam, then Maharaj wouldn't have said, Padya Murkh Akhiye Jis Lab Lob Ahankara. That the one that's educated is a fool if they're full of greed and they have ego in themselves. Because if that worldly knowledge was Naam, then that ego wouldn't have been there. And Maharaj is telling us that anyone that has knowledge is Padya, they're still a fool if they have greed inside and ego in themselves. So that is clear to us. Naam is above worldly knowledge. ਫਿਰ ਕਈ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੀ ਹੈ. ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਭਾਣਾ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਆ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੀ ਆ. ਭਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. So some people in this world, they say that it's just the will of God and that's Naam. You can't know anything about it. ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਮਾਂਡ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁਕਮ. ਹੁਕਮ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕਮਿਊਨੀਕੇਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ. ਅਗਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਕਮ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਣਾ. A person can't find out what the command is unless it's communicated to them. ਤੇ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਕਮ ਹੈ. ਨਾਮ is a command. Maharaj says ਕਿ ਸਤਸੰਗਤ ਕੈਸੀ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਏਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਵਖਾਣੀ ਹੈ. ਏਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਹੁਕਮ ਹੈ. ਨਾਨਕ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਦੀਆ ਬੁਝਾਏ ਜੀਓ. ਨਾਮ is a ਹੁਕਮ, but we can actually hear that ਹੁਕਮ. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੇ ਭਾਣਾ ਹੀ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨਾਮ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਸਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਾਮ ਦਾ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਭੇਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਕਮ ਆ ਪਰ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਸੁਣਦਾ ਆ. ਨਾਮ is a command and we can actually hear that command. It's not something that's unattainable. Maharaj says, Naam ke tare sagle jant, Naam ke tare khand brahmand. That through Naam, everything has been created. All the creatures, all the solar systems and planets. And they're supported through that Naam. Naam ke tare sagle jant, Naam ke tare khand brahmand. But then Maharaj later on says, Naam ke sang udre sun sarvan. That by listening to the Naam, one becomes liberated. That means ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਦਾ ਆ. ਉਹੀ ਨਾਮ ਅੰਤਰਗਤ ਜੋ ਹੁਕਮ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਦਾ ਆ. ਉਸ ਦੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਕਰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਜਿਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਮ ਲਾਏ ਨਾਨਕ ਚੌਥੇ ਪਦ ਮੈਂ ਸੋ ਜਨਗਤ ਪਾਏ. Whoever Maharaj does kirpa upon, they attach that person's surti to Naam. And that's within that fourth state where the mind becomes liberated. Now, ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਜੀਂਦੇ ਜੀ, if we do not connect with Naam, then Maharaj says that we are away from that hukum. ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਹੁਕਮ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਹਾਂ. And anyone that's not staying within the command of Vaheguru Ji, they are bound to get punishment. Maharaj says, Sabna ka sao ek hai, sad hi rahe hajur, nanak hukum na mani ta kar hi andar dur. That Vaheguru Ji is the husband of all, God is the husband of all, and their hukum, their command, if we do not connect with that command, then even though they're within our own home, this body, in the Nij Mahal, in the Sacha Mahal, our surti, our mind goes far away from them. Our mind then can't connect with the Lord. So it's important that we connect with that hukum, that Naam first. And anyone that stays without Naam, Maharaj says, bin Naam hai, man tan hai kusti narke vasa painda. That our mind and our body, bin Naam hai, man tan hai kusti narke vasa painda, our mind and body are considered afflicted with leprosy. And we end up going to hell if we do not connect with that Naam. Naam heen ge mood nanga, pach pach moe bikh dekh patanga. That without Naam, we leave here naked, and what will happen is that we burn as the moth burns when it goes towards the flame. And we end up going into hell. Jini naam vasarya bo karm kamave hor, nanak jampur badde mariye, jo sanni uppar chor. That anyone that forgets Naam and does all the other actions, like ਕਿ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਬਸ ਚੰਗੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੋ, ਇਹੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੈ. ਤੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਵਸਾਰਿਆ, ਹੋਰ ਬਥੇਰੇ ਕਰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਸੰਸਾਰ 'ਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਚੋਰ ਦੀ ਮੋਹਰ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਚੋਰ ਆ. ਨਾਨਕ ਜੰਪੁਰ ਬੱਧੇ ਮਾਰੀਏ ਜੋ ਸੰਨੀ ਉੱਪਰ ਚੋਰ. Anyone that forgets the Naam and does other actions in this world, they don't connect to Naam, they'll be known as a thief. Nanak jampur badde mariye jo sanni uppar chor. And when a thief is captured and everyone beats the thief, that's what will happen to our mind. The jams, the messengers of death, will capture our mind, and what will happen is that they'll beat us and take us into the court of the Dharmaraja, and we'll have to go through hell. So that's why it's important to connect in Naam. Otherwise, we cannot achieve the mission in life. Now, it should be clear to us that Naam is that shabd that Vaheguru Ji is reciting har waqt. Paramatma is known as, God is known as Amoni. Jap Sahib de vich Guru Gobind Singh Ji kehinde na Amoni. Ke Maharaj ne, Paramatma ne mon nahi dharan kita. That God is not silent. They are always speaking. And they are speaking that Naam. When they stop speaking that Naam, that's when ite parlo hogi. That this Maya comes to an end. Because through that Naam, this Maya, Vaheguru Ji created. And when they stop speaking that Naam smiles into Vaheguru Ji forever, this Maya disappears that we see. This Maya, all these things that we're connected to in this world, just disappears. So that's why we don't know when Vaheguru Ji is going to do that. That's why instead of coming over and over again in this Janam Maran da Ghed, this reincarnation cycle, we should actually connect to that Naam within our lifetime so that we can meet God. So, hope that's clear. Like, for instance, in this world, a lot of people, they just think that it's about getting to heaven. Some people think that as long as they believe in their holy scriptures or their prophets, that they're automatically just going to be given heaven. But the bhagts, the devotees, and the spiritual masters that have connected with Vaheguru Ji and from various religions, religious backgrounds, they've all taught us that connecting with that word, Naam, Shabd is important, meditating is important. If we do not learn meditation, regardless of what religious people say from all around the world, if we're not doing meditation, then we're not actually practicing the true dharma. The dharma that was practiced by bhagts from various different backgrounds, like Bhagt Namdev Ji, Bhagt Kabir Ji, Bhagt Ramanand Ji, Bhagt Farid Ji, Bhagt Sain Ji, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and all the way to Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. All the Guru Sikhs, they all practice that same dharma, and that's the dharma of Naam. And unless we connect with that Naam, we can't achieve such, we can't get to such. ਸੋ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਬੇਨਤੀਆਂ ਸਨ। ਜੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਬੋਲਦਿਆਂ ਹੋਇਆਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਅੱਖਰ ਵਾਧਾ ਘਾਟਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੋਵੇ, ਇਨ ਸਪੀਕਿੰਗ ਇਫ ਆਈ ਮੇਡ ਐਨੀ ਮਿਸਟੇਕ, ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਫॉरगिव मी, ਐਂਡ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।